Senator Francis Tolentino filed a resolution to end the impeachment trial against Vice President Sara Duterte on June 30, the last day of the 19th Congress. Tolentino believes the law does not allow the impeachment to cross over to the next Congress if the composition of the senator judges will change. House lawmakers have earlier disagreed with this, but to them, it is a welcome development that the impeachment proceedings have at least started to take shape.
Ginalaw na po ang baso. Nakinig na po ang Senado sa mga pahayag, hindi lang ng Kamara, kundi ng iba't ibang sektor ng lipunan. Inaantay, at again, handa naman na po ang Kongreso, ang House of Representatives, sa kanilang role sa impeachment trial.
Ginawa nilang magkaiba pa ang constitution of the impeachment court versus convening as an impeachment court. Siguro they're splitting hairs on that. But sabi nga namin, maski na sa tagal ng hinihintay natin kahapon, at least nakapag-oath ang Senate President, and we expect them to take their oath today.
Some senator judges are now considering to remand the impeachment case back to where it came from, the House, instead of dismissing it altogether. Earlier in our interview with former Supreme Court Associate Justice Antonio Carpio, he had called this unconstitutional. But let's also discuss this with one of the House prosecutors, Congresswoman Bel Zamora. Good evening and welcome to The Big Story, Congresswoman.
Good evening, Jeff. Good evening, Ron and Ms. Pauline. Thank you very much for having me tonight.
All right. Remanding the complaint back to you, is that unconstitutional or not even written in the law book?
Exactly. I would agree with Justice that this is unconstitutional. It's not in the Constitution. And if we read the words of the Constitution itself, there is no other option for the Senate but to hold trial. They are a trier of the facts, the evidence, and that is their only duty. They have no power or authority to remand the same back to Congress.
Now, Justice Carpio also observed that it seemed that some senators were lawyering for VP Sara, and that this matter should have been raised by her and not by the senator judges. What do you say to that?
Well, we've been hearing from some of the senators that they intended to have it dismissed days ago, months ago. And now actually we are seeing that happen in the Senate. We were watching earlier and we saw that we have Senator Padilla, Senator Bato clearly showing their side in this matter. Even though as senator judges, they are directed to be non-partisan.
If they do say that VP Sara is confident that she'll be acquitted, then we should just go ahead and go ahead with the trial.
Exactly. Again, for us prosecutors, we are doing our job under the Constitution, under the law, which is to bring out the evidence, all the pieces of evidence that we have gathered in Congress. That is our duty under the law. And it is also the duty of the senators to hear the case, to conduct trial, and nothing else. Now, if they are confident that the evidence is not enough to convict the accused or the vice president, the impeached official, then there should be nothing wrong or no problem with having the trial proceed.
Congresswoman, right now we're thinking one of the possibilities that could happen before the day ends is you guys, this impeachment complaint could be remanded back. Have you guys amongst yourselves discussed already what you will do? I know it's only been maybe an hour or so, but have you guys have a chat group? Have you guys spoken about what you will do in case bumalik sa inyo itong complaint?
Well, to tell you honestly, we've been discussing that with our private prosecutors or private lawyers who have been helping us. And well, to be frank about it, we're a little shocked. That's been my feeling the past few days. So shocked with how the senators are conducting themselves or filing resolutions left and right, just to have the proceedings cut. And again, remanding it is not an option. So I don't know where this suggestion or this act came from.
Okay, but Congresswoman, where are you in terms of your preparations? And if you were to follow the calendar being proposed by Senator Francis Tolentino to conduct the trials and end it by June 30, is that feasible? Will the prosecution panel be able to do your part?
Definitely, that's not feasible for us. That is definitely unacceptable. I said earlier in an interview, let's compare this to, an away ng magkapitbahay. You can't even resolve that in 1 day, 2 days. And they want us to present our evidence in 2 days, for the Vice President to present her defense in a short period as well. So I don't think that that's acceptable for anyone. That will be, violative also of the Constitution.
What about narrowing down the articles from 7 to 2?
We don't see that as acceptable as well. We have different pieces of evidence for each article, and we wouldn't have put those articles in the complaint if we didn't have all of the evidence for each. We wouldn't be putting any article just to make the complaint longer.
Now,
Definitely have evidence for each.
if we could go back to the root of the manifestation of Senator Bato, which is that it's infirm that the House did not follow procedures. Tell us why you think it is not correct, that his position is not correct.
I believe that he was questioning the fourth impeachment complaint because there were 3 earlier complaints. And, it has been the stand of the Congress, of the prosecutors, that we followed our own rules. The first 3 complaints were filed in December, and in fact, it was the stand of the congressmen to consolidate all of these complaints. Now, the fourth was filed. The fourth was filed within 10 session days. Now, people are wondering, how can that be 10 session days when the first was filed in December? We are counting session days and not calendar days here. So when we filed the fourth complaint, it was within the 10 session days, and that's the only requirement. And we also followed the requirement of the Constitution, which is to have at least 1/3 of the members of the House of Representatives to sign the complaint. In fact, we had around 2/3 of the members of Congress. So with the 2/3 signature, we automatically transmitted that to the Senate, and we followed the rules under the Constitution.
You know, it's good you're saying this now, Congresswoman Bel, because back then, everyone was wondering why those 3 initial complaints were not referred to the Committee on Justice as per the rules, right? And we were actually also shocked here that it didn't happen, and instead the fourth came about. But can you give us a sense of what happened? I know it was a while back.
Yes.
What was going on?
Because it's at the heart of the argument,
yeah.
and this was cited by Senate President Cheese as well. Why was it not referred to the Justice Committee immediately, as your rules say, within 10
session days.
10 session days?
So for the first 3 complaints, these were filed by filed by private citizens and endorsed by a member of Congress each. Now, I think the endorsers, those who wanted to support it in Congress, and those who filed it themselves, had a lot of discussion if they will push through with those complaints. If I may share, those three complaints were compared to the fourth one. They only had maybe one or two articles of the fourth one. So it was the consensus that a fourth one be created, which would be
A combination of all
combination
three.
of all of the articles, of all of the allegations, and that would be supported by at least 1/3 of the members of Congress.
Your rules allow this. Your rules allow this.
Yes. Let me share also, ma'am, that for the information of everyone, copies of the complaint were circulated amongst all of the members of Congress, and we were able to read it. I think that's also one of the complaints or allegations of the Duterte camp. So the members were able to read it. Some, in fact, voiced their opinion before everyone. I would always share that, for example, Congressman Rufus Rodriguez voiced out his opinion on the matter, and if I'm not mistaken, he did not vote. So that was the process that we had before signing.
And since you brought it up, Congresswoman, can we confirm that the copy of the fourth impeachment complaint was circulated on the same day that it was voted on? Because people were also railing about that.
Yes, we had copies on the day that it was circulated. It was circulated and voted on.
In one day. So a lot of people, alam mo, the criticism there of the other side was, paano mo matatapos yun na hundreds of pages sa iisang araw, iilang oras lang?
You know, honestly, it's not 100 pages. Let me see. I just have it here with me. Able to read mine thrice.
Okay, so it's not 100 pages.
Not 100 pages. You know, they would say that it's very lengthy with all of the attachments.
The annexes, I suppose. The annexes.
Yes, the annexes. But the complaint itself was very clear, clearly worded, and it was circulated to everyone.
But even in as much you pointed out earlier that we're splitting hairs, semantics matter, they just merely constituted themselves into an impeachment court and not convened, and you may never really have the opportunity, at least in this 9th Congress, to begin the trial with only until perhaps reading of the articles of impeachment. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's our stand that the impeachment proceedings will definitely continue into the 20th Congress, and there's no issue with that. The Senate or the Senate President has been citing American presidents in some matters when they were discussing it in the past few days, last week as well. And if we were to follow American cases, American impeachment cases, then we should note that, in fact, in many instances, they have impeachment cases that have crossed over to the next Congress. We studied several cases before. The prosecutor studied several cases before, and we saw that that is really the practice for an impeachment to continue into the next Congress with no problem.
But their point, Congresswoman, against that would be that the U.S. Congress always has a majority because they do not elect in 50%, 50% like denominations like we do. What would be your answer to that argument?
Now there's another, yes, there's another another reason why we should continue into the next Congress. This is not a legislative matter. This is not a legislative function of the Senate. And non-legislative functions definitely continue into the next Congress. We have, for example, the Senate Electoral Tribunal, which continues to work even beyond the term of the senators, because this electoral tribunal necessarily takes up matters that happen after the elections or after a term of office. So there are functions in Senate as well as the House of Representatives that continue. There are day-to-day matters, day-to-day functions, non-legislative functions. And this one, like we have said many times, is sui generis, or in a class of its own. So it definitely does not fall under legislative functions of the Senate.
Okay, Congresswoman, just one final question from me. Will if the senator judges do vote not to dismiss the impeachment and the presentation continues tomorrow as scheduled, will you be ready for that? Will Congresswoman Jervil Luistro still do the presentation? And what's the latest on the composition? Because the last time we spoke to Congresswoman-elect Laila de Lima, she said she's not officially part yet of the prosecution panel.
Yes. First, Congressman Jinky is ready to present the articles tomorrow. We have nominated her to be our spokesperson tomorrow in the presentation of the articles before the Senate. And well, for the rest of the prosecutors, we've been preparing since March for the trial itself to proceed. We've been doing our homework, we've been studying and having practice sessions. So we are ready for that, and we have been readying with our private prosecutors. As for Senator Congresswoman-elect Laila de Lima, I believe that she was invited, but yes, officially she is not yet a member of the prosecution, as she will come in the 20th Congress.
All right, thank you so much, Congresswoman Bel Zamora, House Prosecutor.